Welcome back to the Carp Angler Chronicles podcast. This podcast is going to be me and Pete rambling on. Bit about bait, bit about what we're up to with our fishing. We're rapidly coming towards the tail end of summer and autumn, so I think there's probably some mileage in chatting about how our strategies are going to change. So that's what we'll be covering. Basically a bit of a catch-up episode. Posh Pete, how you doing, my man?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you. Finally recognising that I'm posh. I appreciate that.
Yes, mate. Bit of backlash online about your stiff upper lip, so I just thought I'd address it.
Wow. Yeah. I don't think stiff. I mean, I've been described as Jack Whitehall. I can see it.
Isn't it Willenhall?
In the voice.
Isn't it Jack Willenhall? Or is it Whitehall?
No, Whitehall. It's Whitehall. I kind of do sound like him, but I wouldn't say that he had a stiff upper lip. Far from it. But there we go.
Well, anyway, how's life with you on the posh end of things?
Posh Pete's good, thanks, mate. Yeah. Yeah, pretty good. To be honest, mate, I've been flat out at work and I've not done a great deal of fishing, but there's not a lot I've not been thinking about it, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, I think we can have a little bait talk and put something together for certain. And how about you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I am good. I tell you what I'm going to do, though, before we jump into that stuff. Last episode, I said that I would just give everyone a shout-out that bothered to leave us a review. So I will stick to my word and whip through these guys. Do I read out everything they've wrote? Probably not. I'll probably just...
pick out the highlights, mate.
Highlights. Gjad Adams 6922 really like the content around bait and especially the Sean Harrison podcast with the moon phases. That was a good one. As well as that, BGHFY345 has said, great podcast, just two guys sitting there, love of carp and knowledge of bait with some little nuggets. Thanks very much. We've got a recommendation on the rum again, which I had the other day, by the way. This is by Sean Designer. He said, you boys need to get on old and spiced rum, lamb spice or red leg, or with Pepsi Max Cherry. See, I didn't have it with the Pepsi Max Cherry. I just had straight up red leg rum. Didn't like it, to be honest. Not that much of a fan. Thanks anyway, though. We've got John Dubu, who said it's a bloody good listen. Pour yourself a drink, sit back and absorb. Thanks ever so much, John, if that is your name. Lily Lolly 12345 said, great podcast with amazing content. Thank you very much. RJR Bates. Ooh. One of the best fishing podcasts out there. Keep it up. Like to know more on essential oils. We'll cover that at some point. We've got Willow830 who said, great podcast, listen to you and other podcasts. It's nice to just listen to a couple of lads chew the fat over a bit of carp fishing. If there's one criticism, hello Willow, if there's one criticism, you tend to lead us down a certain path and then say it's a big secret. I don't think anything's a big secret, and you can't go there. I've been carp fishing for over 30 years and rolled my own stuff for nearly as long. Brackets, I'm a bait buff. That said, you're the only podcast that gets into the bait scene and I love it. Keep up the good work, lads, and I really appreciate your podcast. Thank you very much for the review. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there's definitely been a few things that we've started speaking about and then we've been like, actually, we'll keep that under our hat. But hopefully we've addressed that in recent episodes and we've been a little bit more forthcoming. So yeah, thanks. Appreciate the feedback. Mafia Mark, probably don't want to mess with this geezer, says, just started listening. Great show. Just need to give a few secrets away. Yeah, agreed, Mark. We will be. Don't worry. In fact, we might even do a little recipe of the podcast. Give out a few recipes just to help you guys out that are formulating mix, and you can either use it to the T or you can use it as a base to explore yourself. We've got Web and Goo. Really enjoy listening to your podcast. I like the rawness. I really like Peter's approach with not everything needs to be carpy or expensive. It's refreshing, but I also like the way Sam scoffs at it. Keep them coming. See, that makes me... Oi. That's it's not very posh, Pete. See, this makes me laugh. I appreciate the review, by the way, buddy. Web and Goo, do appreciate that. That makes me laugh because Pete is like with his brollies, you'll buy like a state of the art. What are they called? Those pop up brollies? Are they Tempests? And then you got the new MHR, and I'm just like, mate, just get a real brolly. That makes me laugh. Anyway, thanks for that. Do appreciate it. I kind of know what you mean. Pete he's pretty basic man, really, on all levels. Fletch 1971, really pleased to find this podcast as it covers so many topics I'm interested in. Thanks ever so much, Fletch. Much appreciated, my man. We've got, hey, my name is Jim. Have we spoken about this guy before? I think we have.
I think some of these have been covered in the pod, mate.
Yeah.
I remember Jim.
Yeah, I think we know who he is, don't we? He's given us 1 star. He said, surely this is a piss take. Thanks, mate. Much better this month from E17 Carp. Stay nana. This one was much better, guys. Nice one. Enjoy hearing about the kit you use in the bait chat. Did you get the Stay nana?
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
E17 Carp.
Yeah.
Leroy Carper, nice little tips and tricks given. Hurry up and get some more material out. Thank you. Andy, great listen. Like the bait talks, contrast, different appearances. Nice to hear. Thank you very much. And Splashy Carper, one of the very best out there. Please keep them coming. Thank you so much to everyone who has bothered to take the time to leave us a review. Please keep them coming. It really, really, really helps us to see that this is actually worth doing, because believe it or not, actually takes a hell of a lot of time to edit these, and then it is not cheap to actually host these online. Obviously, we don't make any money from this at all, so it's really nice just to get this feedback just to help keep us going. So if you can leave us a review, please do that. Right, on to tipple of the episode. What have you got, Pete?
Well, Posh Pete, mate. I've decided to go for a pink grapefruit and elderflower gin liqueur.
Ooh, you living up to your name.
Oh no, yeah. It's to be honest with you, impromptu pod, wasn't it? And I've not really had a drink for a long time now, mate. And it was the only booze I've got in the house that I can drink on its own. So,
fair enough. I'm only drinking on Tuesdays now, believe it or not. Yeah. It's just a little rule I've got, but it is Tuesday, so I am having a drink. I've got Suffolk Bitter, which is brewed by Adnams Brewery of Suffolk. And then after that, I've actually got, not very good for the waistline, but I have got some Irish cream liqueur, Bailey's basically, but it's a cheap Bailey's from M&S. So that's what I've got. It's getting a bit wintry, isn't it? I thought, an Irish cream. Quite nice.
Yeah, it's not getting wintry. Not yet, mate. Not yet. But I've got to say the evenings are really drawing in. So it is 9:05 now, and it is pitch black outside down here in Cornwall. And I'm saddened about it. I guess we missed a big chunk of the year, didn't we? And like summer and spring has flown by. So yeah, it's certainly starting to feel a little bit autumnal.
It's getting wintry, mate.
Perhaps.
Winter's coming.
It's 17 degrees today, mate.
It's savagely windy as well.
It is, yeah. Yeah,
wet.
Big storm, big low pressure.
Yeah.
Have you visited your lake recently?
Baited up today. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
You see, can you, I mean, you're fishing very sort of clear pits, aren't you? So you seeing fish when you're baiting up? And
Oh, not today, mate. The surface chop is quite savage. So no, definitely didn't see any fish today. I just went and trickled a bit of bait in. Yeah,
it's the first sort of big sort of low pressure for a long time, isn't it? The temperature's dropped.
No, about 11 days ago we had a big low pressure up here.
Oh, okay.
With wind and rain. Yeah, I think it was 11 days ago, something like that.
Just feels right though, doesn't it? Like the fish are going to be sort of getting their heads down. You just know it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably go on to like one of the bigger pits. If I was fishing tonight, I think I was very nearly going to go fishing at one point. I think I'd have headed out there rather than my new smaller one, which the new one's only, I don't know, 10-ish acres. I think I'd headed out to the big one, get on the end of it, on the end of the wind. I know they're not always there, but it's generally a good starting point. So yeah, very, very carpy weather indeed. Yourself, Pete, what have you been up to? Fill us in on what's been going in your world of angling.
Well, I've struggled this year, to be honest. So since lockdown, I've been fishing a club water and I've really struggled. I've sort of mentioned here as an algae bloom, but if I'm honest with myself, I mean, it's not stopping sort of fish coming out. Fish are coming out. I've just not been doing a good job of angling, and I've just sort of it's been tough, mate. I've lost a bit of interest, if I'm honest, in the lake, and I've taken a bit of a break. We met up, didn't we, for a weekend? We did a little social. So that was that a couple of weeks ago, back in beginning of August, middle of August, and I've not fished since. I tell a lie, I did one night. Because after we met up, I went down and did one night. The night I returned, and actually, you're right. No, we had a sort of a low pressure coming in. It's some big thunderstorms and things as well. And I was pretty confident for a bite and nothing. And I've just sort of stayed away from it, if I'm honest. I've been flat out at work, not been thinking about it, and I found another little lake, well, a lake I've known about for a long time and sort of not fished, and I think I'm blanking on the water I'm fishing now. My goal was to sort of get a few of the more notable fish, hopefully out of the lake I'm fishing, and then move on to this one. But as I'm blanking on the water I'm fishing, I figured I may as well move on to this other lake, which is rock hard and blank there, with a chance of perhaps something like a Cornish unicorn, mate. Something very rare and hopefully a bit special.
Yeah, I mean, we were having this chat about a week ago, weren't we? And I think you're doing the right thing. I think the other water, it's got a bit of pedigree, a little bit of history, isn't it, as far as Cornish waters go? But I don't think there's that much in there anymore that's really noteworthy. Certainly compared to a different water, the other water that you're going to go on to, I think, there's no contest. If I was in Cornwall, I would be fishing the other private water, put it that way, that you're going on to, without a shadow of a doubt. And to be honest with you, not long ago, about a month ago actually, I was like really not really settled with where I was fishing up here and not really sure where to go, and I was actually considering just campaigning that water, which is a hell of a trek for me. I'm up here in the Cotswolds, in the Worcestershire part of the Cotswolds, so it's a big old trek down to Cornwall, but I was even considering it, mate, just because there are some very it's a bit of a, like you said, a unicorn water, a bit unheard of for Cornwall, isn't it?
Definitely.
I'm excited for you. Obviously, I'm not going to do that now. Definitely not now. You're going to fish there. And I've got a water that I'm getting into up here. But yeah, I think you're doing the right thing, mate. I'm excited for you. I really am. I reckon you'll do well. It's a place that I've done some time on. And yeah, I'm quite excited for you, Pete. I really am.
Yeah, I'm just straight away just more content there, if that makes sense. I'm happier. The pressure's almost off a little bit because it is rock hard. I spoke to another lad. I think he's done 11 nights. So he joined, and he's done 11 nights, and he was sort of didn't have a touch as such. So, and I think I've spoke to a few others, and it's sort of quite a few guys that are sort of into their sort of like mid 20, 30 nights before they get a bite. But the rewards are there, aren't they? And it takes the pressure off because on the other lake I should be catching. And I think I'm going to go into this place with a real sort of, number one, I'll be happy to be there. It's absolutely beautiful. The surroundings are lovely. And I just know this is what I should be doing. And if I actually catch something here, it will mean the world to me. And I don't say that lightly. I actually really mean that. So yeah, I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, the only thing that would annoy me if I was fishing the water and I knew I should have been catching and I wasn't. I was just going to say I don't think I could leave it. I don't want to sound like a douche, but that would do my head in. But if you can do it, mate, I think you should do it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's mate. I'm assure you, I'll be going back there at some point because I've got unfinished business. But yeah, it's got to a point. I'm struggling, mate. I put my hands up. I'm struggling. I've not cracked the code, and I've probably I don't know. I've just lost a little bit of interest in it. I've lost a bit of love, and I'm not fishing hard. I'm not putting the bait in now. It's just lost my focus. But I'll certainly head back there in the future, without a doubt. So anyway, that's a little bit of me. What's happening with you, Sam? What's your approach? Are you, now the weather's sort of on the turn, are you sort of going to approach things differently at the moment?
Yeah, I will be, mate. I mean, well, we say it's getting autumnal. It's kind of tongue in cheek. It's late August, isn't it? So we're not quite there yet. But who knows? Who knows with our crazy seasons? But yeah, I will be changing it up. I'm a bit late on the particles this year, I must say. Usually I'd have started, a bit heavier with the particles before now. But I've started that now. But yeah, when the water temperature starts to drop significantly, I'll definitely use more boilies rather than particle. Give them a bit more feed than I have done. Generally, obviously, that time of year when it does start to drop a little bit, they generally go on the feed and they start to feed a little bit harder. Definitely, but I don't know, mate. I guess the main thing for me is actually starting to establish which bait I'll use for winter. I don't know if I've spoken to you about that before, but I know it's very in vogue nowadays to use the same bait all year round. Well, and for good reason. I understand why you do that, but I actually like using a different bait for winter. So I'll definitely start introducing that now. Is that something you do, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I know, like you're saying, it's in vogue, isn't it, to use the same bait all year round? But then there's a part of me, I understand it and I understand the principle, but there's also a part of it where a lot of this stems from the guys who are sort of sponsored angler from said bait firm who are just pushing bait. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of it sort of stems from there. Yeah, I'll probably change things up, or I'll probably approach things differently. I fish a lot of singles, a lot of homemade sort of pop-ups in the winter. But my sort of approach for now, certainly for September, October, going into November. So I've been fishing like a bird food based bait, and I've not done very well on it. And I think going into those months, to be honest with you, I'm just going to introduce a fish meal. Going on previous years, it's been super mild, hasn't it? Sort of like the autumns and going into winter. And I just want a good quality fish meal going in.
Yeah. I'm with you. Fish meals for me. I mean, I am much more confident in them. I really am. That being said, my new bait that I'm going to be rolling isn't a fish meal. Doesn't contain any fish meal. But that's more for winter purposes and just as something a little bit different, because the water that I'm fishing now, I know for a fact it is getting a lot of good quality fish meal going in. So I just want to really be very, very different. That's something I've tried to do for as long as I can remember in my angling, really. A very significant chunk of it, at least, is just be very, very different. Not to a fault, I'm not saying start using pink line and like stupid things like that, or maybe that'll work well. But yeah, generally I like to be a lot different, particularly with the bait side of things. So yeah, I'll go on to a bird food. What fish meal are you going to be? Are you going to start rolling your own fish meal, Pete? Or
no? But I'm just going to stop you there and like do a little rewind, mate. So previous episodes, you have been no. I am not rolling my own bait. I do not have the time for it. You've got a bait you're happy and you're confident with. What's happened here, Sam?
I know
you got the bug, haven't you? You've got the bait bug.
Yeah, people that don't have the bait bug won't have a bloody clue what we're on about. But yeah, I have, mate. To be honest, yeah. I've given in. Part of it is that I want to be, very different, and it is hard to do that by just buying a ready-made bait. So that's a big part of it. But yeah, of course, I mean, it's like we've said before, it's a different hobby, isn't it? You're formulating bait is like a separate hobby. Of course, we're doing it to catch more carp, but it's kind of its own entity. It's its own thing, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But yeah, mate, I'm balls deep in different papers and going over old things and just remembering how much I forgot, if that makes sense. Because I haven't had my finger on the pulse as much as I used to in recent years. But yeah, it's great. I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying it. I've got a mix in mind that's kind of similar to what I've used before, but a little bit updated and utilizing some more modern ingredients. So yeah, I'm quite excited. But yes, you're absolutely right, mate. I'm giving in, and I'm going to be rolling my own bait again.
So we're not talking fish meal. Are you doing is it like a bird food? Is it a carb based? I know just before you sort of stopped fishing, went into a bit of hiatus, you sort of formulated like a carbohydrate mix or a blend that you were super confident in, and you wouldn't let me on, and now you've forgotten what it is. So have you miraculously sort of remembered what it is, or where are you going with this?
No, just to clarify to everyone, when we say roll in a bait, we mean a feed bait, not just hook baits. I mean, I haven't stopped making hook baits. I've been making those, plenty of those. But we're talking about actual feed bait, actual bulk boilies. To answer your question, no, I haven't remembered what that carb mix is. I got a fairly good idea. No, it's that there's a significant portion of carbohydrate in it. And as a result, I'm going to be using enzymes in the bait, which I've played around with before. I've played around with recently in hook baits, but in terms of a feed bait, producing it on, I don't want to say a bigger scale because it makes it sound like I'm churning it out by the ton, which I'm definitely not. But yeah, using enzymes on a slightly bigger scale, it's kind of, that's new to me. I've used them on smaller stuff and pastes and things. So yeah, yes, there's a significant amount of carbohydrate in it, but it's also it's quite high protein. Down the line of milk proteins, numerous different milk proteins are in it. It's not a cheap mix. Milk proteins are just hideously expensive in this day and age, aren't they? Particularly to get the good ones, and there's quite a few bad ones out there. So yeah, more of a milk protein type bait. Yeah,
exciting. Your enzyme. So are you? I don't want to go too into it because I know this is your sort of new thing and you're sort of experimenting, etc. But are you sort of treating the bait after boiling with the enzymes, presumably? And the next question was how do you control that? Do you do that sort of? Do you try and keep like your temperatures at a certain rate, and then how long do you sort of let the enzymes do their thing for before they sort of turn a bait to mush or do too much?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I'm not finalized on it yet. I'm really not. So where I'm up to at the moment, I've got the bait. I'm happy with that. Everything looks phenomenal on paper. I need to test it and refine it. When I'm 100% happy with that, as in it's a bait that I would use with the utmost confidence, right? Then what I'll start doing is perfecting how I'm going to apply the enzymes or enzyme to the bait. So first of all, before I start messing around with the enzyme, I don't want to be doing it if it's not going to make a radical difference for a start. So I want to start off with a bait that is very good, that I'm very confident in, and then go down the route of treating with enzymes. To answer your question, it's hard. I mean, some enzymes, I think ultimately applying afterwards is the way to go with it, for obvious reasons. But you don't need to do that. And I've been using enzyme in hook baits for a while, and pastes are something that I use a lot, and they kind of, that's a jump around a lot of the issues that you'll come across when trying to use enzymes in baits.
Yeah. When you've been doing it with your hook baits, have you sort of noticed like your temperature of your room has played a part in the activity, or have you not really sort of looked at it? Have you monitored temperatures? I'm literally quite interested. That's why I'm asking. It's not something I've done a great deal of.
No, but I haven't. I've made them in my little carp cupboard, which is like it's a room downstairs, so it doesn't get very warm in there at all. So it's quite a cool room, to be honest with you. But I haven't done anything in terms of actually monitoring the temperature that I create them in. No, I haven't.
You should do, just so you can relay back to me. I don't know why. I'm just something I'm interested in. I think like temperatures will play like a big part in the enzyme process. So,
yeah. So I mean, when I first started them, I was very worried about the temperature side of things. But I'm less concerned with that now.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and I mean, perhaps when I do experiment a bit more and I get a bit clearer in what exactly how I'm going to do it, then maybe we can divulge a bit more. I know for a lot of people, creating an enzyme bait that actually works is a bit of a holy grail for bait making. It's not easily done. I mean, a lot of people have tried before and failed. And some people have obviously been successful and made great baits. So I'm not trying to be secret squirrel about it. I just need to iron out, quite a few kinks, and I still need to perfect the bait in the first place, so it's at a good standard. Obviously, there's things in it that will obviously work alongside the enzymes. You need that, otherwise, it's pointless. Yeah, you don't want to just put any old enzyme on any old bait. Obviously, it has to serve a purpose.
We won't go into. I won't ask questions because you probably don't want to go into it. So that's cool. Okay, yeah, it's interesting. I have no idea. Oh, that was what I was going to ask you. How far have you got then with your sort of like your manufacturing hardware, I guess we could call it? Have you bought yourself like a bigger bait gun now? Now you're not just doing hook baits. Have you sort of upscaled your equipment yet, or? Oh
yeah, definitely. I'm not going to be knocking out hook baits or feed baits by hand, which is exactly what I've been doing with my hook baits. So yes, no, I'm not going to be doing that. I've actually gone down the route of, it's obviously we used to use a pneumatic gun, which are great, but for convenience, I might live to regret it, but for convenience purposes, I've actually gone down the route of ordering a electric calc gun. From what I've read, for the few people that have used it for extruding a sausage for bait rolling, it's got some good reviews, mate. It really, really does. It's 80, 90 quid off eBay. I think the brand is Anasty, something like that. I might be wrong on that. I think something like that. So yeah, I'm going to give it a go. It's supposed to have excellent battery life. It's supposed to be nice and powerful. What more would you want, really? You don't have this big old compressor that's sounding off all the time, which is nice. So yeah, I'll see how that goes. So yeah, I've got that, and obviously, just some nice big rolling tables. I was looking at the Shillem rolling tables that have you can interchange the blades.
Yes,
I'm sure you know that. Yeah, you can get them. Have you seen these little grub blades? I don't know if that's the technical name for them, but there's basically, you're not rolling around bait, which I don't particularly like, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But they come out this little kind of oval ridged grub type shape. Have you seen these, mate?
So, do you know what? I've seen the hook baits, and I've never thought about the manufacturing process at all, and I've not seen the blades for the tables, but it sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah. I used to make, and I will be making, I think I used to call them squabs, didn't I? So I'd basically extrude the sausage out onto the table, press the top of the table down onto the sausage, therefore cutting it, and just smush it up just an inch or so, and then lift the table off, and then you're left with this kind of parcel square type
pillows. We think we used to call them pillows.
Pillows. Right? Did we call them pillows? Did we? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I like those. They're a regular. They're not like normal round boilies. Again, it's a bit different from the norm. So you're giving the carp something different to come across. It's another link them to your bait that you're probably trying to establish. And as well as that, I think for ejection purposes, I think they don't blow out in the mouth as easily and as evenly as a perfectly round ball would. So I think, as far as the hooking potential goes, I think that you've got an advantage with those shapes there.
What mill are you going to be rolling?
20.
I see, that's good. So my concern for you with this electric gun is you're notorious for liking a stiff mix. And I was thinking the gun will struggle. I was thinking electric gun, you might knacker the gearing or something where you don't have that problem with the pneumatic gun with a stiff mix. But if you're rolling 20 millers, it'll probably give you a little bit of scope for, it'll be operating at less pressure essentially, won't it? So you might be okay.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't struggle with power at all. It's supposed to be absolutely fine.
That's to say, mate, we had a massive compressor and we struggled to extrude your mixes. You used to wind me up. I think we mentioned this on the podcast, haven't we?
Yeah, I do like it. Obscenely stiff.
Are you...
So yes, that will be my little setup. Nice and easy, nice and simple. Yeah, mixing wise, not sure. Old Kenwood is obviously, well, it's not obviously, but I mean that's what I used to use. Obviously, me and you, Pete, when we used to roll lots and lots, we used the old drill plasterer's whisk, which was pretty good, wasn't it? But I think I'm just gonna just persevere with a normal mixer. I have been looking and seeing if there's anything a little bit more industrial out there. But I'm not going to be rolling tons. I'm really not. I mean, I don't know how much I'll need, but...
I mean, the Kenwoods, what can you do in that? Like a 6-egg mix?
Yeah, comfortably, yeah.
Yeah. I just think you might quickly get tired of it, mate.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've got 2 mixers, though. So my girlfriend makes cakes.
Like spinning plates, you have them both on at the same time. Like,
yeah, my girlfriend makes cakes, so she's got a mixer as well. So I could always have 2 on the go. I know what you mean. I do know what you mean. I'm sure I'll get tired of it, but at the minute, that's what I'll start with, certainly.
Yeah, I just think a plasterer's whisk, mate. It's one outlay. They don't cost the earth.
No.
Stick them in one of those gorilla tubs or whatever, and you're away. And then that'll just do you for everything.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I do understand, mate. It was good, wasn't it? I enjoyed. It was a good little find that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Did the job. Did the job, mate. What about you? Are you're not tempted to roll a bait?
Yeah, I constantly tempted. I just need to move house, mate. That's what I need to do. I need a bigger house, a bigger property, which I've been working on, to be honest.
Oh.
It won't be happening for a little while, but it's a bit of a weird one. I'm going well away from carp fishing. This is Pete's relationship chats now. But like my wife, she's so keen on staying in the house, and I'm just so keen on sort of moving out to a different house. I just want a bit more man space. I could build myself a nice big shed here, but I've got to then do a lot of work to get like the ground ready. I've got to knock other sheds down, which are like fabricated concrete from when the council built them back in the 30s. It's a lot of work, and I'd sooner try and move house if I'm honest. Completely different story. But yeah, I haven't got the space at the moment, mate. Long story short. Yeah, I would love to roll a bait. You sent me that paper the other day, which made for some quite interesting reading about different yeast cultures and things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just gets the fire burning, doesn't it? And you just, yeah, like you said before, the guys who have the bait addiction, they get it. The guys who don't probably just think we're mad. They just want to buy a bait and go fishing. Yeah, exactly.
I got one for you. Do you reckon you would have caught more fish if you just always bought a bait rather than tinkering with umpteen different mixes?
I think there's different elements to that. One, when I did at one stage, I did a lot more tinkering with mixes and actually fishing. So there, in that situation, yeah, probably. But I think a lot of the time my fire to go fishing was because of the bait that we'd sort of created and what I was doing. So that was a lot of the fire to go fishing sort of years ago. Nowadays, if I tinkered with bait, I would probably never go fishing because my fishing time is very precious at the moment. But yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't know. It's the answer. I couldn't tell you. What about you?
I don't know. Like you say, I think it works both ways, doesn't it? I mean, when you do create a bait that is genuinely special and it is actually catching you extra fish, you can't beat that, can you? But then does that weigh up all the times that you're testing different baits that you've created, not really knowing if they'll work, only knowing that they look good on paper and ironing out kinks? I say it all the time. Everyone thinks, oh, I'd love to be a bait tester for a company. You wouldn't, because you're literally just testing bait to figure out if it's good or not. A lot of the time it isn't. So yeah, it's not all glitz and glamour. So yeah, I don't know, mate. Swings and roundabouts, isn't it? I suppose. Yeah,
definitely. So we were saying earlier that, or we always say on previous episodes, how the Facebook is somewhat lacking compared to our Instagram account. But we've had a fair bit of action on the Facebook messages, and there's a chap called Nick who has messaged us, and I've responded, and then he was asking a question about his mix, and I have not forgotten, but I just keep struggling to find the time, so I thought now would be a fantastic time to address it. So first of all, Nick sent us a message. I'll break it down real quick. He's been rolling bait for a long time, but wants to talk about refining the mix. So I had a quick chat with him, sort of discussing what's he trying to achieve essentially, and then to send the mix through. He then sent us a suggestion for a tipple for the pod, which is, I don't know if you've seen this.
No.
Have you seen this?
Don't think
it's
so.
a whiskey infused, I'm thinking it's a beer, I can't even see, but it's called whiskey infused golden Carolus. So I'll keep an eye out for it. Anyway, so have you seen his mix online, Sam? Yes or no?
No.
So Nick lives on the continent, so he's doing his mix in kilos. Well, I suppose we do a lot of ours in grams, but he is doing it on a big scale. So for example, he's like 4 kg. I won't do the denominations of the ingredients.
I was just going to say, should you be like sharing his mix?
Yeah, probably not. Okay.
Didn't think this through, did you?
No, I didn't. He might be upset. Should we move on? I'll reply to him in a message.
Do you want to do it anyway?
No, now that you said that.
Go on, do it anyway.
Okay, there's a lot of stuff going here. So he tries to source a lot of his ingredients mainly from supermarkets rather than from some bait shops. So, example, well...
Oh, yeah, you told me about this.
So we've got
Why
looping...
does he do that? Why?
I don't know. Well, we can put that question to him. So we're talking looping flour, maize flour, rice flour, tiger nut meal, cookie meal. Not sure what that is. So we've got like an egg biscuit, bird food in there, corn steep meal, rye flour, semolina, Vitamilo, lamb lac or lamb's replacement milk, Baroccacel, beer yeast, which would be our brewer's yeast, and an egg compound as well. And then his liquids.
Does he like baking a cake or something?
Potentially. It could just be a cake. It could be a cake.
Cake Angler Chronicles or something. What is this?
So we're talking his liquids are liquidized hemp, liquidized sweet corn, condensed milk, got some Marmite in there, some hemp oil, some Minamino, we got a cotton candy flavour from Solar, some John Baker's plum, which is a classic, TM1 from John Baker's, I don't know it. He said he used to use Rod Hutchinson maple cream, but they're having trouble with the consistency, which again, I used some Rod Hutchinson flavours years ago and I found the consistencies, was somewhat lacking. So I mean, my initial thoughts from that are there is an awful lot of ingredients in there. What would you say, Sam?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd like to know what he's trying to do. What he's trying to do with it. It just seems like a very confused mix, and he's liked the sound of a few things and he's bunged them all together. I don't I don't mean that to be offensive to the guy. Right? Sorry if it comes across that way, but it doesn't seem like there's any kind of direction with it. It's just loads of different shit thrown together.
Which I think sort of, I can certainly speak for myself, and I'm sure you in the past as well have been very guilty of doing. You like a little bit of this, it's something you've had in a previous bait, you want to use that, and you want to use something else, and you want to use something else at sort of like just like a couple of percent of this, and you get confused. It's something, I used to do it a lot.
Yeah, particularly in terms of the attractor package. Like, I want a bit of GLM in there, I want a bit of betaine, a bit of citric acid. Yeah, but these are like, what for most people would be bulk ingredients, bulk fillers, essentially, for want of a better phrase. He's got a lot of them. And I don't really, I don't see the point of doing that. If I'm being honest, I would just literally start over. I'd bin it. I'd bin the mix. Is that really harsh to say?
It depends again. What he's trying to achieve. So he's, like he said, he doesn't want to go to sort of like mainstream. Sort of, he wants to do something like away from the mainstream base ingredients. So that's fair enough. That's what he wants to do. But then I guess you've got stuff like tiger nut meal in there, which is kind of like a mainstream sort of base mix ingredient, isn't it?
There's quite a few. Brewer's yeast is used in a lot.
Yeah,
he's got quite a few bits in there that are used by. I can't remember all of the different things that you said, but like there's a lot. There's a few quirky things. Cookie meal. I'm
not sure what that is.
There was lupin flour in there. Not many people use that now. Yeah.
So we got lupin, maize, rice flour, and tiger nut meal. So
tiger nut meal and maize is used a lot in mixes. So I think,
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, you can't polish a turd, can you? I'd bin it. Guy probably hates me now, but I would start again. Think about what it is you want to do with it. If you want like a high carbohydrate bait with a little bit of protein in there, that's fine. But I just think you got too much going on in there. You'd want to strip it right back. That would be my advice. As always, got to test. I could be wrong. Could be the best mix ever. Who knows?
Certainly, sort of like your bulk ingredients and your binders there. You're looking at your lupin, your maize flour, your rice flour. I would be probably just looking to drop one of them and just go with the two of them and stick with your tiger nut meal. Your cookie meal, I can't even comment on. But certainly, again, he's got some sort of egg biscuit bird food, which again, that's going to aid your binding, gives a bit of coarseness to it and a bit of texture. But it's just things like you have got Vitamilo and sort of lamb's milk replacer. So they're probably a little bit counterproductive there. You could probably add something different, reduce your like solubility percentage there, and just stick with one of them, and then look to add something else. Your Baroccacell and your brewer's yeast. Sam, you've been doing a bit of research on yeast. Would you combine the two, or would you just look to stick with one? I don't think it would harm combining the two, to be honest. They're quite different on paper, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that part of it, to be totally honest with you. I'm not saying that I would do that, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it either. I'd happily have that. But it's the other side of things that I would worry about.
The protein content would be a big one, I would suggest.
Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Yeah, it depends what he wants and on what he wants out of it. I tell you what, though, I'll offer you this. I have been thinking about having a very, very basic mix. Old soya semo style with a little bit of milk in there, and just going for quite a technical attractor package. Kind of akin to like the old Tutti Frutti by Richworth, not the new stuff. It's not the same. But that kind of thing, that bait was like an absolute confidence banker, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. I've been thinking about fishing with something like that because no one is freaking doing it on the waters that I'm fishing anyway. again, totally different, flies in the face of what most people are doing. And most people are putting out fairly reasonable baits. I mean, what do most people use? Sticky baits is very common. That's a good bait. Cell, some people will say it's absolute crap floor sweepings. Other people will say it's very good. It catches enough fish, but then it's used a lot. I don't know. I have no opinion either way on it. What else do people use? There's loads. What I'm trying to say is there's loads of good baits going in these days. So maybe something like that wouldn't do as well, but maybe it would. Maybe it would do extremely well. So maybe this guy, if he wants to go, a little bit in the opposite direction of everyone else, maybe he wants to just get some soya, some semo, maybe a bit of vitamilo, maybe a slightly, maybe a bit of whey protein concentrate, something like that, and then get a good attractor package on there. Or when I say good attractor package, I mean something that you're relying upon those small additives rather than the base mix bringing the fish in. Don't know what you think about that, Pete.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we had this conversation the other day, didn't we? But it's interesting you say that, and I think nowadays it's a lot of the mass-produced baits compared to 10, 15 years ago. Like, there's not many bad baits. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of the baits coming out now, the ready-mades, are all pretty good, aren't they? And they've got a pretty good nutritional profile, like the fish meals. Everything's quite readily available for all these baits. I think it's quite a level playing field. And like you're saying, just a bog standard 50-50 mix with actually something a little bit special on the inside. It's different nowadays, isn't it? That used to be sort of like the go-to baits, but now it's very different. Yeah, I think it's got its place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and small. I mean, people were putting quite a bit of bait in as well. It seemed to be, I don't know, there seemed to be a phase of everyone, not for quite a long time, but just fishing over very small amounts of baits. Before that, it was like a lot of bait. Then it went like that. Now it seems, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like now there's a bit more of a trend to fish over a lot more bait. And I suppose a lot of it depends on where you're fishing. I went to my water to bait up today, and I was stunned with the amount of boilie these lads had there, and they were stoving it in, and I was I was quite surprised to see that. So maybe small little findings of a very different bait, a high attract bait, maybe that would just do really, really well. Yeah, I'd give it a go, certainly.
Yeah, I got to say, like you say, people stoving it in, I always tend to shy away. I don't know why, but I think it makes the fishing incredibly hard. I know there's countless examples or countless bits of sort of literature or media or people's accounts of stoving it in and the fish are on it, but my experience is it can often really put the fish off. I'd be wary if I were you, mate. I really would. Maybe definitely do something a little different.
Are you talking to me or the guy?
You. No, I'm not telling some guy stoving it in to do something different. Well, I could be, I guess, but you. If I was sort of seeing people really stove it in like you have been, it would, I'd be a bit gutted, really.
I mean, I think the fish will eat it. If there's several, I mean, a 30-pounder can munch its way through a kilo of bait, with you'd be surprised, They can put it away, so I'm not necessarily worried about that. I don't quite get what you mean, but
I just think it could really put the fish on edge.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of variables. Yeah, I agree. I'm certainly not. I've never put that amount of bait in that water, and I don't plan to. That being said, I mean, remember when I started fishing over a lot of bait back in the day? I had some real big hits on it, didn't I? Did quite well.
Yeah, it was.
So it depends, doesn't it? There's a time and a place for that. There definitely is. I'm just trying to point out that sometimes it pays to go against the grain. In the same respect, if I was on a venue and everyone was fishing over little 10p piece size bags and nothing else, I'd be popping a load of bait in to fly in the face of that, and definitely give it a go. So sometimes contrast to everyone else is a definite edge, in my opinion.
Yeah, and big baits as well. Lots of people go small, don't they?
They do. Yeah, I like when everyone's fishing small, I really rate a big bait. I've never done as well on smaller baits. But I think, to be honest, most of the waters that we've fished, there's been a lot of bream in and other fish, so you can't get away from it. I know nowadays there's some waters that only have carp in, which I don't think is a healthy or good thing. But I suppose on venues like that, you could get away with really refining it down. I've never been able to do that.
No.
That's why I like big baits, because I just don't want to be. The last thing you want is to be taken out of action by a £2 tench at 2 a.m. in the morning, which is exactly what happened to me last week. Yeah, so I like bigger baits.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, I'm with you, dude.
So there we go. I tell you what. Bear with. Can you hear that?
Oh, I hear it.
Yeah. Got my new alarms delivered today. So I decided I need alarms with a little bit more sensitivity setting on them. I've got some old Fox alarms. I've had so many different alarms. I decided to get some basic reliable Foxes. They're MXR Plus, I think they are. Great for 99% of fishing, but I'm just in a scenario where I do need a bit more sensitivity. So, yeah, I've ordered the new Fox RX Plus, which, I'm going to be honest, they are bloody ugly. I really do not like the look of them. They look like some futuristic Batman type thing, which I'm not too keen on, but they seem to tick pretty much every single box that there could be.
Are they sort of like the latest sort of model out from Fox now, are they?
Yes, yeah, they are the latest one. They took over from the NTXRs, which actually I did order some secondhand NTXRs last week, and they came, and one of them didn't work, so I'm in the process of sending them back. And I thought, do you know what? Yeah, I'm just buying secondhand. There's problems with them. I thought, sod it, I'll just get new ones. As well as that, I mean, these new RX Pluses, they're not that much more than a secondhand set of NTXRs. The NTXRs really are holding their value. So I thought, sod it, I'll just buy some new ones. And yeah, they look bloody ugly, but function-wise, I'm quite happy with them. I mean, I've only had a play on my office desk, but yeah, we shall see. I'll let you all know how I get on with them. The receiver, when you turn it on, lights up like a freaking spaceship. It's like some futuristic type thing.
Because you were toying with the Delkims, weren't you?
I was thinking about the new Delkims. They have. So, I mean, for those that don't know, the original Delkims were great, and then the ones that have been current until recently, they had problems when they got wet and things like that. Some people will say they don't have issues, other people say they do. I've had a couple of sets of Delkins, I have had issues. But yeah, I was playing with the idea of getting some new Delkims. But yeah, I went with these. Yeah.
Tell me, have you had any issues returning? Where did you get these other ones from? Was it like a Facebook marketplace, or was it off eBay? The ones you're returning.
The ones I'm returning, they were second hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was just off someone from eBay.
Oh, okay. So are you going to have problems with the return, or have you not started the process yet?
Oh, it vibrates. No, I think the return will be fine. Yeah, he said it's all fine. I mean, you never know if someone's trying to pull a fast one, do you? But so far it seems okay. He hasn't received them back yet. I've sent them back. So yeah, it should be fine, mate.
Well, this is it with eBay, sort of like you've got buyer protections and stuff. So I have, as you know, I bought myself a Witchwood HMR. Is it HMR? HMR, yeah, MHR. Brolly. Really liked it. had a leak issue, and I bought that from Total Fishing Tackle. You just hit the return button, defective item. They're like, yeah, no worries, arrange courier, etc. And then they didn't have any others in stock, so I wanted to get a replacement brolly, so I got a refund, and I just ordered another one from another company, and got it first night in it, rains, and it's got leaks in exactly the same place. And the other company, I mean, have been really funny with me. So they're quite a big eBay store. They've got a lot of feedback. They've got like 3,000 sort of feedback, and it's 100% positive. So I was thinking straight away, yeah, that's fine. They're not going to be a problem. And they sent me a really arsey message back saying they've not had any problems with them. It'll be subject to a full test when I return it. And if it's found that it doesn't leak, I'll have to pay for the postage. And if they can't sell the item as brand new, they'll be sort of like reducing the refund that I get, which I thought was a bit off.
Surely that's against like the law or whatever it is.
You'd
surely.
think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So I showed you the video. I've set it up in the garden. I've been like pouring water cans on it, like recording it. And I've shown them sort of like the leak appear on the inside because I just do not want to get stitched up with it. I can't be doing with it.
What did they say? Were they fine with it?
No, the response to that. So I sent them the video with my response saying, no, it does leak. It's not condensation. And they were just sort of like, well, if that is the case, we'll offer you a full refund. But like they started listing questions like, do I have the original packaging and stuff? So they're clearly going to try and sell it again. I feel sorry for the person who tries to buy it. So I don't know. It just seems a bit out of order. But we'll see how it goes. And if they do give me hassle, we can try and name them, shame them on here, I guess.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? You've had a bit of bad luck with shelters, haven't you?
Yeah. I should never have sold my my little Tempest brolly, mate, because it didn't leak. I just got bored in lockdown and fancied something new, and I've had 3 different shelters that have all leaked on the first night of any rain, so I don't know what's going on. Just bad luck. Oh, mate, yeah, nightmare. But there we go.
Yeah. Mate, I'm going to laugh so much if your new one leaks. That's 3, isn't it? That's 2 Witchwoods and... Was it a Sonic or a Nash?
The Sonic one as well, yeah.
Yeah. Never have that problem.
No,
Yeah.
Well, I haven't before either. Yes, mate, it's unheard of, to be honest. It is incredibly bad luck.
Yeah, it's not user error, is it?
Well, I went fishing when it rained? Was that my fault?
Wow.
No, when you're spending 250 quid on an umbrella, it's got one sole purpose, and that's to keep the rain off you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's freaking ridiculous, mate. It is ridiculous, isn't it? I think these brollies are just over-designed, over-engineered now. It's getting away from what a brolly is. A brolly is a quick to put up, simple, basic shelter. That's what it is. But, you know, modern carp angling, they've tried to make it all singing, all dancing, and trendy, and vogue, and carpy, and all that stuff. I don't like it, mate. Just get a basic brolly. That's what I've got. That's what I enjoy. And, yeah.
But this is it. I've gone full circle on it now. And it's funny that you say that, because the bit that it leaks from is, I mean, it's a nice touch on a brolly. When you fold the storm pole inside, it's got a like a sewn-in clip that clips the storm pole in place. I don't use it. You don't need it. It's just one of these. It's, like you say, it's an all singing, all dancing bit of equipment, and it just leaks from the seam in there. It's really frustrating. It's not even something you sort of 9 out of 10 people who have the brolly probably don't use it.
Yeah.
I've just been really unlucky. I think I've had 2 that have leaked in exactly the same place. But there we go.
I imagine the kind of guy that buys that brolly does use it.
Yeah, maybe.
You know,
it's just an extra hassle, isn't it? You got to unclip the storm pole when you're setting it up.
Same kind of guy that has like a electronic cooler in their family estate.
Unbelievable. My family estate. Mate, you went to my house the other day.
I did.
You can't be calling that no family estate.
No,
I live on an estate. I should have all my family on the same road.
Your car is an estate. It's a family and estate.
I thought you meant sort of like my grounds and my estate lake.
Your inheritance.
Yeah.
Dude, you're letting your poshness shine through there. Yeah, I'm on about your estate car, your vehicle. Yeah.
That's not posh either, is it?
Straight.
Let's be honest. It's a Peugeot.
No, you've missed it. It's gone over your head. Never mind, mate. What do you think of the stickers?
I like them. I've been pissing people off at work. I've been tagging someone's water bottle, put it on the back of someone's phone, and they're the only two I'm going to waste, I promise you.
Just wasting them. Yeah. Mate, that vinyl is rated to be outside for 10 years and not fade.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, it's quite expensive.
Well, I can tell you, once it's stuck to something, it doesn't come off easily.
That's good, mate. That's good. I was going to... I mean, I haven't actually put them anywhere yet, but, I will.
Well,
use
this is
them
the
one day.
thing. Are we going to piss off people?
Well,
Probably.
the thing is, I don't even know why we got them. If you remember on our social fishing trip, I think we had quite a few beers and decided it was a good idea to get some stickers, didn't we?
Oh, did you order them there and then?
Oh, no. I went home and designed it and submitted my artwork.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't really know what to do with them now. Perhaps we'll give them away. That's something I want to do, actually, and we can talk about that. I would like to do a giveaway for our listeners. We're actually getting quite a lot of listeners now. And don't you think it would be cool to do like a little competition giveaway type thing?
Mm-hmm.
Not for stickers. No one's going to want them. But,
No.
we'll come up with some... We'll come up with some good stuff. Maybe we could...
if they refuse a return on the brolly, mate, someone can have a leak in Witchwood brolly.
There we go. I was just going to say, I'm sure we've got some stuff that we're happy to give up. Maybe we could even roll up some baits for someone. We could even do it personal to them, some bespoke baits for them. Or we could just roll some bait and then offer it up for grabs as a bit of a competition. I don't know what the competition would be exactly. We'll probably just pick someone at random. Whoever leaves a review, like from everyone that's left a review past and present, we could put all of their names into a hat, couldn't we? Do a little draw.
Mm-hmm. We'd never be able to contact them. We'd just have to announce it on the podcast, and they've probably only listened once. They'll never get back to us.
Well, no. If that happens, then the next time we run it, the next person will just get a rollover. If the past one isn't claimed, we could do that.
Yeah.
We'd have to include everyone that's left a review in the past, otherwise it's like out of order. But we will do that. We'll get our thinking caps on. We'll definitely do that. I think maybe on the next episode we'll get it ready for there and we'll announce it on the next one.
I like the idea you said earlier about maybe sort of like doing a Carp Angler Chronicles, sort of like a basic base mix, and then have people sort of like do their own tweaks and see what can come of it. Something like that. I think that would be quite cool.
That would be very cool. Yeah, I don't know if base mix or like a little hook bait mix might be better. I think more people roll hook baits than they do actual feed baits. So maybe that would be better. Or maybe we do both. Sod it. I'd be happy with that. I should tell you what. Didn't we say that we were going to give them some recipes on this episode? I'm sure on our last episode we said we'll reveal a few recipes.
Possibly. It was a while ago now.
Yeah. Go on then, Pete.
Oh, yeah, because I'm ready for it. I've given some recipes in the past.
Yeah.
The only one I've given, I think, is my sort of like my go-to winter pop-up, which I won't be rolling this year because I've got ideas for something else.
What, you've given this to people that have messaged you?
No, I think I've just put it out on the podcast before.
Oh.
So my go-to sort of winter pop-up is DT Baits Green Beast with the DT Baits Tutti Frutti flavour. So 2 ml of each to a 1 egg mix with a few drops of N-butyric acid, some citric acid and a sweetener. Easy as that. And then afterwards you prime them up again with a little bit of flavour and a little bit of the acids. But that's been my sort of my go-to winter bait for a number of years now.
So just to slow it down for those that missed it, DT Baits Green Beast, that is a flavour. It's a blackcurrant flavor, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. This is camp sold flavor, is it not?
Do you know what? I don't know.
Okay.
I get lost in it, mate.
Okay, fair enough. So 2 mil of DT Bates Green Beast, 2 mil of, what was the other flavour?
It's DT Bates again, just a 2T.
2T? Bit of N-butyric and some
yeah.
citric.
And a sweetener as well.
What sweetener?
So I always go back to Talin.
How much?
I can't remember, to be honest, off the top of my head. I've got it written down somewhere, but we're not talking a great deal. It's probably a mil or two, mate. It's
how much,
very, very powerful stuff.
How much citric acid, how much N-butyric?
So the N-butyric, I'm literally doing a couple of drops. And the citric acid, you see, this is where I'm really rude and you couldn't handle this, but I'm talking like half a teaspoon. But when I do half a teaspoon, I don't measure out half a teaspoon. I literally just chuck half a teaspoonful.
Oh my God, you're so haphazard.
I know.
Mad. I hate it.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. That's Pete's Old Winter pop-up mix. So
yeah, and I'm going to say it now. Disclaimer. So I got put onto it by someone else.
Oh,
I can't remember where I found it, and I've just sort of adapted it a little bit. But the flavour combination I was put onto by someone else.
Fair enough.
Just a disclaimer out there.
Yeah, a lot of the time it is flavour combos you hear about, don't you? And then you try them, and then you change the levels and add your own little bits. Yeah. I've got one for you, Pete. This is potentially quite an interesting question. I was having a chat with someone the other day, who is basically saying be wary of citric acid. Adding citric acid and presumably other organic acids to flavours. He said sometimes they can enhance things, but oftentimes they don't. What are your thoughts on that, mate?
I think it probably depends on the flavour, doesn't it?
That's what he's saying. He's saying most of the time it will detract things rather than add.
And did he give any sort of background behind it, or?
Well, his point of argument, not argument, but discussion was that obviously, good flavors are made up of many different compounds, and some of them being, organic acids. So his point was that you could be using a flavor that has got citric acid in already, or
okay.
whatever kind of organic acid, and then you're adding more, and you're just blowing the whole thing. So he from what we talked about, I kind of got that he was of the mind that, either you use a flavor or you use organic acids.
Right. Not combined.
Yeah.
I mean, I would certainly, again, so quite a few guys who've messaged the Facebook page, I often come back to the whole, it's trial or error, because at the end of the day, you just don't know. Or I certainly don't anyway. I'm not a scientist. I can sort of look at, we've discussed about organic acids and things in previous pods, and I understand a little bit of sort of like reactions and things that can take place and why they become attractive and why they are attractive to carp. But a lot of it's also trial and error, and some baits just work and other baits probably do work, but they certainly don't work as well. So I think it sort of goes down to experience, doesn't it?
It does, mate. Yeah, it really does. Yeah, it does. And the thing is, unless you're in an extremely privileged position, you're not going to know exactly what is in your flavor. You're just not. For those that don't know, banana flavor isn't just a banana flavor. It's comprised of many different compounds within it to give it that scent. I think a strawberry flavor has over 300 compounds on average.
Wow.
Aromatic compounds. You mentioned John Baker's plum earlier. I think that's got over 200. I'm sure I've heard John Baker say that. You've got the Scopex. That's made up of many different things, lactones, lots of different components. So yeah, it's and as I said, most people will never, ever, ever get to know exactly what that flavor is comprised of. So yeah, it's an interesting and good point. You do want to be mindful of what you're adding, because it could be overdoing a certain element. I'll give you another example of my own. I love maple flavor. Spoken about that recently on a podcast, I think. I also love fenugreek. Now, the better maple flavors have fenugreek in there. Now, I personally believe adding your own fenugreek oleoresin will actually enhance that and actually help it. But it's worth bearing in mind there may well be an element of fenugreek anyway, so you could potentially overdo things. I think it could work both ways. It can enhance if it's already in there, and it also can detract.
Yeah. And again, it's the blend, isn't it?
Yeah.
So using two compounds of the same thing, whether it like ingredient, it necessarily can't be a bad thing. I won't say it can't be a bad thing, but necessarily it isn't a bad thing.
No, and I mean, for myself, I've spoken about this at length. I like an oleoresin with an essential oil. I like them matching. So if I was using clove or fenugreek or cinnamon, I would like the essential oil and the oleoresin together. I definitely think there's a lot of mileage in that. So yeah, it's interesting. Flavors are something that for a long time I used to bother with, and then I moved away from them, preferring not to have a flavor, and now I'm definitely getting back interested in them. Spending quite a bit of time looking at old papers and new papers on different flavor profiles. Yeah, I find it quite interesting. There's the old argument that flavor, all it does is change the pH. That's not the case. There is more to it than that. That's part of it for sure. Standout example is the old solar squid and octopus Koirera, which is very different these days. But that is a very alkali flavor, which is quite unusual. That will definitely have an effect on the bait. But a lot of them, and that one as well, it's much more than just the pH. It's the different compounds within it, for sure.
Yeah, what's the compound in pineapple flavour, mate? I cannot think of it off the top of my head.
Wow, there'll be many compounds, but there's
I've literally ethyl butrate.
That is it. Ethyl butrate, obviously classically paired with N-butyric acid.
Exactly, yeah. Which kind of goes with the whole sort of like where the organic acid. I mean, that is a all-time classic, isn't it? Pineapple with N-butyric. And again, it's the pairing of it. It just works, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is where I'm not a scientist, mate. I can't tell you why.
No, exactly, and neither can I. And I don't even think that some of the greats, Rod Hutchinson could tell you it works very well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think as well as that, like the actual the base itself so aside from the aromatics, the actual base of the flavor, whether it's diacetyl or what have you, I think some of those are much better than others as well. I think it matters a lot. I think it goes beyond leach off and into actually the realms of attraction.
Yeah, definitely. There's lots of talk with different flavour bases of different kinds of year, but I completely agree that I think some of them are more attractive in their own right to a carp than others. But
yeah, I believe they are. I really, really do. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Good.
Wait.
Yeah, it sounds like you keep moving away from the mic. Do you keep doing that?
Mate, my microphone is like an inch from my mouth. I've got a different setup today.
Okay.
I was just in the old outrage. I'm just moving on to. I'm scared to drink any more of this gin liqueur because it's not mine, it's Vanessa's. At the back of our booze cupboard, mate, I've got like a tiny little bit of sherry in a bottle. I'm going to have a sherry.
Okay.
Could Posh Pete get any posher?
You getting levered?
I'm not getting levered, Sam, no. I'm just scared to drink any more of my wife's gin liqueur. So Posh Pete has got even posher and having a sherry. I think Vanessa's nan has left it here at Christmas. It's just stayed there for years now.
Okay, very nice.
Oh,
fair enough, mate.
It's horrible.
Yeah, you just
Fuck. Sorry.
bad times, mate. Why are you reaching for that stuff?
So I don't know. If I had a beer, mate, I'd drink a beer.
Fair enough. I've got in front of me something that someone tried to put me onto this years ago. Rob, you remember Rob? Good old Rob. Yeah. He tried to put me onto it. I never went with it. But Nash Trigger Link. You ever used it?
Mate, I actually found... I've bought some. I tied up a couple of rigs of it years ago. Didn't really use it. I don't know why, but I actually found some when I was clearing some old gear out the other day. But no, I've not used it to great extent. I can't even remember how elasticity or how elasticy it is.
So
is it an edge?
For those that don't know, Nash Trigger Link is basically this hook link that's elasticated. It's literally like a little bungee cord. It's not when you tie it up, so you can knot it, as you would do normally. But when it's submerged in water, the presumably PVA melts, and you're left with this like little bungee elastic rig. Is it an edge, Pete? Is that what you asked me? I don't know, mate. I've never used it. I've bought some. I'm very interested in using it. I can understand in my mind's eye why it would work and how it would work. I just haven't put it into practice. But you, mate, you tend to be a little bit more riggy than me, don't you? You get a little bit more technical on the rig side of things than I do. And where I'm probably a bit more basic than you can sometimes get a bit technical, can't you? So I was interested in your opinion. I thought you'd have tried it.
Yeah, I've got some, and I probably used it a handful of times and sort of lost interest. I don't even remember using it, to be honest. But yeah, I can't even imagine. It's funny that you say now when you say it gets submerged, it becomes springy, and I do remember that now. I think when I found it the other day, I was a bit like, "Oh, this stuff was meant to be like elastic, and it's not." But now you say that, it's sort of draws back memories. And do you know what? I was reading an article the other day. I think it was Steve Renyard, and I think he called it like the hermit rig or something. And it's basically like a withy pool rig, but with I think he's using some pole elastic used alongside some braid or mono or something just to give it that elasticity.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. Yeah.
So mate, you say I'm technical. I'll play about with things, but I just always end up going back to just the old faithful knotless knot, or a multi-rig, mate. I do like a multi-rig.
Yeah, I think it was one of the other podcasts. I think it was the Baitworks one, and they said not many people use a hair rig now, do they? And you know what? I had to laugh out loud. They're fucking right, aren't they?
Yeah, which is remarkable.
Yeah, not many people are using a hair rig anymore. They'll have some kind of bait screw or like a slip D or whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah. Probably a bit of an edge now, isn't it, this day and age, the old hair rig?
Maybe. It's mad that you said that, but that is true, isn't it?
It is. Well, I mean, to give them credit, I think it was the Baitworks podcast. I might be wrong on that. It might be a different podcast. It would have been some podcast. That's the only carpy material I consume. And I found that really funny and freaking accurate as well. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm the same. I'm still using a hair rig. I like quite a long hair as well, so I think that contrasts the short hair or the short, not even hair, but bait screw or swivel or whatever people attach their hook baits to their their hook. I think it's all very, very short and compact in this day and age, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think having a good old hair is a bit of a, not an edge. I think that word's overused, but it's it's probably a good thing.
But you like a shorter hook link as well, don't you? So I always think if I was pairing that up, I'd be worried, you know?
Well, you say I like a shorter hook link. I don't. I think you like really long hook links. That's what I think, Pete. I don't think my hook links are particularly long or particularly short, sorry. They're usually about 9 or 10 inches.
Oh, mate, you know when you looked at my hook link, you were like, wow, it's a really long rig. And I was like, is it? Like mine are all like 8 or 9 inches.
No.
Yeah.
No. No.
Sorry for the listener's going to hear a little argument here. Go on.
Well, yeah, okay. So no, it was a good it was a good 12 inches, mate. It's probably about 12 inches, but you were fishing over a tight baiting pattern. Like you put it in your spoon, in your crazy wobbly shipping pole, bait pole. So and you shipped it out. It was, I reckon it was getting on for 12 inches, mate.
Oh, mate, definitely not. Nowhere near my rig wallet. You can't put a 12-inch long rig in it.
Your rig wallet is huge. What are you on about?
You can't put it's about a foot long in its entirety, so you couldn't put a 12. Do you know what I mean? And this is bad listening.
Well, okay, so here we go. For the listener, his rig was around about 11 inches, right? And he ships it out on his bait spoon.
9 inches max.
It's a tight baiting pattern. In that instance, I'd have had a much shorter rig.
To be fair, though, I mean, I took that on board. I was just quite excited. I think I wasn't really thinking it through because it's not normally a method that I'd be fishing. So I've just gone for one of my go-to rigs that was tied up. I never ever fish sort of like that method, and I was doing it because that lake, it was the right sort of method to use at the time. And actually, when you highlighted it, I was just like, yeah, you're completely right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you were right. To be fair, I completely agree. I just wasn't thinking things through.
Usually am, mate.
Yeah, you are, aren't you, Sam?
Yeah. I tell you what, I put that on Instagram, a little video of you shipping your pole out.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of people commented. A lot of people loved it.
Yeah, I'm sure they did, mate.
They did, genuinely.
Yeah.
Quite a few people asking how you made it.
Oh, really?
Yep. Do you want to tell them?
Let me bore them. Yeah. Do you know what? So every time I fucking turned around in that trip, you were filming me do something. I was starting to get like really like, what the fuck? Yeah. Mate, that is just out of electrical conduit from Screwfix. So you buy, I think, a 2 meter lengths of conduit, and you can buy sort of like male and female screw thread adapters, which are great for about the first few uses, and then the threads start wearing on them. Not fantastic. But I mean, that pole cost next to nothing to make. All I bought was the spoon attachment, like a Signet spoon, and that was it really. But yeah, it works. It's a good bit of kit, but if you've got 100 odd quid to spare on a baiting pole, I would definitely recommend buying one rather than using my contraption.
I think it's great for the money. I think it's good, mate. I don't even think they're 100 quid, those baiting poles. I think they're a couple of hundred, isn't they? The Nash one?
Oh, probably. I think the Nash one's like, it's a 12 meter pole as standard, and it's like 150, 160 quid, something like that. And then 12 meters actually, when you think about it and you do it, really isn't as far as you think.
No, that sounds expensive. But then if they've got rigidity, I don't know. I mean, yours is like a freaking water serpent coming across the surface, isn't it?
That's it.
Really wiggly.
I filled the tubes up with expanding foam, thinking when it's set it would give it rigidity, but really made no difference whatsoever. But the Nash one, mate, that's really wobbly as well. Really wobbly. But sort of like the Signet ones you see, they all look pretty sound. But they're pretty chunky bits of kit. I certainly wouldn't want to take it every time I went fishing. It was a bit of a novelty. And is it an edge? Probably, yeah. It didn't help me on that session catch anything, but I don't think I'd want to take it every time I went. It's a lot of gear.
So, okay, here's one for you, and this is something I wanted to bring up on the podcast. That is an edge, isn't it? I agree with you, because I mean I think you're on the same page as me. Like, it's an edge because you kind of ship it out. You can get it in areas that you perhaps wouldn't be able to cast to. Of course, you've got to be, sensible. Don't be dangerous. But you can get it in a very precise area. You know that your rig is right next to your bait. It's presenting the bait differently to what they're perhaps used to seeing. And as I just said, you can get it in some places that you wouldn't normally be able to reach. Now, that is a big edge, right? Mm-hmm. You agree?
Yeah, definitely.
So, how do you feel about bait boats, which essentially do exactly the same thing?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you entirely, but I wouldn't do a bait boat because they're just wrong. Do you know what? There's a time and a place. Like, some beats, so the lake we were fishing, did you need a bait boat on there?
No.
You could do it with a pole, couldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, for that example, I think a pole is just that human sort of contact, isn't it? You're shipping it out by hand, you're guiding it, you're turning it. There's a little bit of, a little bit of finesse with it. I just think with a bait boat, it just takes it away for me. But if I was fishing abroad on some massive pit and boating it out sort of 300-400 yards to a spot, and I didn't have one, I'd be doing myself probably a disservice. So I think they've got their place, but they certainly didn't have their place on the lake we were fishing the other weekend. Go on, what's your thoughts?
I agree with you. A bait boat just doesn't seem right to me. It just doesn't seem quite, cricket, as some people would say, as you posh folk would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It just doesn't seem right. That being said, I mean, old Terry Hearn, he's used a bait boat before, and he's not backward about coming forward with it, if that makes sense. He'll happily admit it.
Yeah.
If it's good enough for Tell, is it good enough for us? I don't know. I think comparison game's probably a bad thing. To me personally, I don't like bait boats. They're not for me. I wouldn't really feel like I'd earned the capture if I'd used one. That being said, I don't know if that's just me being ridiculous, because I'd happily use a bait spoon and plonk that somewhere, and I don't see how there's much difference between the two. I mean, you were saying about there's not the finesse and the human touch there. Well, you're controlling the boat controller, and it can be difficult to do that, particularly when it's windy and there's a bit of chop on. So I don't know what the difference is, but it feels like there is a difference, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
cool.
like same. It's just technology, isn't it? We've discussed on the pod before about, would I use a drone to get aerial footage of the lake to help me? Yeah, I would. I wouldn't dream of doing it if there were people fishing, because it would do my absolute head in if people were flying drones up while I'm sat there trying to sort of relax and enjoy my fishing. But yeah, definitely, if there's a quiet lake, just so you get such an aerial footage, mate, I think is really like a fantastic tool to have if you can have it.
For what reason?
So like a small pit, I think you can, from an aerial footage, you get a good understanding of features, weed beds, that sort of thing. I think it'd be quite helpful. I've never been in a position to actually find fish on my drone. Not that I haven't got one anymore, but I've never actually sort of like watched fish from it. But yeah, I just think, would I put a drone up to sort of like get a better understanding of the lake? Definitely.
Would you use it to find fish and then fish from?
I don't have a drone now, so I guess I can't really talk, but probably. But it depends on the lake, doesn't it? If I went to a day ticket lake and there were people fishing, would I put my drone up to find a fish? Absolutely no chance. I'd be embarrassed, to be honest.
Yeah, but in the same respect, you're probably not going to be fishing a day ticket, so
Yeah, it's true.
So what is the difference for you then? Why is it okay to use a drone to try and find fish, which is a step up from just delivering bait. Why is that okay, but using a bait boat just to get your bait and rig out isn't okay?
I know. It's just everyone's got their little angling sort of moral compass, haven't they?
Yeah.
It just doesn't do it for me, mate. And again, we're going over old ground, but spoken about catching fish on sort of like my terms. And quite often I'll want to catch a fish in a certain way or from a certain spot, which probably isn't the most favourable thing to catch the fish from, but I want to catch them on my terms because that's just how I work at times. So I think it's got a little bit of that to do with it. I tell you what, though, and I've not done it, but if I could, would I fly my rig out with a drone? You see, in my head, I think I've devised a way of making it possible. And yeah, I probably would do just to see if I could do it. But that's a different story.
Yeah, fair enough. You've devised a way to make it possible. Isn't there already some... Didn't you show me some YouTube video of someone dropping a rig out?
No, I don't think so. But I did tell you about my little methods.
Right.
But I don't really want to... Yeah, it's just ridiculous, to be honest, so it's all good.
What about a deeper, these deeper castable fish finding tools?
I nearly bought one once. It wasn't a deeper, it was an American version. And it came up secondhand, and I did a bit of research on it first, and it was actually pretty shit hot. And it's one of the ones they use for like the tournament sort of bass fishing, I guess, in America. Yeah, I think it's probably got its place, mate, in modern day fishing. Mate, do you know what? I have such little time to sort of learn a lake, I guess. I really, that's where I struggle, is my prep for fishing. I make time for my fishing, which is very little, but my prep to sort of to then learn the lake and go down and plumb around and mark up, just to find depths, find out what the bottom is. It takes me weeks and weeks and weeks, and I tend to do all of this sort of learning during sort of my fishing session, which again isn't an ideal time to do it because you don't want to disturb the swim, and you're sort of learning as you go along rather than sort of dedicating a bit of time to learning about the lake. And I think actually like a deeper could possibly be a pretty good tool for me. Again, just for depths, for looking at, well, what do you call it, topography of the lake and whatever substrate you could be fishing over. I think it could be a really interesting bit of kit. Yeah, what about yourself?
I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know how I feel about any of this stuff. I mean, in the past, I'd have been like, bait boat, no, definitely not. I mean, drones are relatively new. But yeah, I just basically anti that kind of thing. I just consider it cheating and just not very sporting. That being said, I don't know. If I had a drone and there was no one else on the lake and I wanted to get an aerial view and just figure out, just get a different perspective of the lake. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I think, religiously using one every time you fish to go and find the fish, that would not sit well with me because that's taking the angling skill out of it. But I think just using it to understand the lake better, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I think probably the same can be said with a sonar, a deeper. If you're casting it around trying to find fish, it's not quite cricket, is it? It's not very sporting. But if you're using it to find different depths, I don't know. I kind of say, well, what's wrong with a marker float? That being said, I mean, I know some people, if you use the deeper to find where the fish are holding up in the winter, you could hit it off big because winter fish their guard will be lowered. They'll be easier to catch, but much harder to locate because they don't move much. So basically they will hold up in a certain area, usually at a certain level, and they will, spend a lot of their time there. If you can find out where that is and then fish from, you've got a good chance of getting a winter bite. Obviously, something like a deeper is going to make that a lot more possible. You can cast it out and drag it across the surface and figure out where the fish are. but that doesn't feel quite like cricket to me. I don't know. I guess what it comes down to is how you use these things, isn't it? It's the application of it. It's how it goes down. I tell you what I would like to do. I'd like to get someone on the podcast that uses like the deeper, for an example, a lot, and knows how to use it, and it's a regular thing of their fishing. I'd like to get someone on like that, and then just not challenge them, but just talk to them and see how it affects. Just hear the other side of it, if that makes sense. That would interest me, because I think with these things, it's important not to just be blinkered and have your own opinion. I think it's important to be open-minded to these things, and see it from the other side.
Yeah, I can go with it. Do you know what, with the deeper? So this sort of you talking about, the one thing sort of that like comes to me, or really strikes me when I've spoken to people about them, is they all say, "Yeah, I've had one, but I sold it because I never really used it." I think, is it another one of those things where you spend 100 odd quid on a gadget that actually, do you actually end up using it a great deal in your fishing?
Quite possibly, yeah.
I always think with anything like this, if there was somebody else fishing, I wouldn't really be plugging around with a deeper, because number one, I feel a bit like, fucking hell, they're looking at me thinking I'm one of them dicks with a fucking deeper fish finder. And then I don't know, like I struggle to put a marker float about me when other people are fishing, because I'm just conscious that I'm disturbing the lake, and
Yeah.
you know, maybe I'm a bit too ethical.
No, I agree with you. I don't think that's too ethical. I think that's just ethical. I definitely don't think you should go and fuck up someone else's fishing just because you want to read a few depths. Quite the opposite. That being said, I mean, a lot of the guys listening to this, they're probably fishing very busy waters, and they don't have the luxury of going there when there isn't anyone else on. I know me moving up here, I'm sort of in that boat now. It's very rare for me to be on my new water. Not that I've actually been there that many times, but it's very rare for me to be there and there's no one else there. It's only happened once, and I've probably visited the venue 12 odd times. So then it comes to, well, you know, when can you do these things? And obviously if there's, you know, one or two people on right the other end of the lake and you're miles away from them, then yeah, sure, that's not an issue, is it? But a lot of these smaller lakes and busier lakes, that's not the case, is it? So yeah. It depends on the course, doesn't it? Path of the course, whatever that saying is. It depends where you are and how you apply these things. If you're on a busy day ticket venue and you've got your swim and that's just how it goes down, then I suppose you use that piece of water in front of you however you need to, don't you? If you're on like a syndicate, then you know you're probably going to be you should be much more aware of what else is going on, and it's generally quieter, and you can maybe get the time to do your work when there's not many people on, and you're courteous, and it's horses for courses. That's not just to say, you know, just because you're on a day ticket, be inconsiderate. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, you know, if a lake is rammed every single day and every swim is taken, well, then just work your swim. That's just the nature of the fishery, isn't it? Just be aware you're probably going to push the fish out, I guess.
I think the fish get quite used to it. It's like we've all seen the videos of people spomming, and just sort of like the spom really draws them in, and that's just the noise of it hitting the water.
Yeah, I think marking up is probably a different thing. I'm not saying it would necessarily spook them on a day ticket, but I think on like a typical syndicate that, you know, say if there's one end and there's someone, you know, thrashing the water to a foam, generally the carp are going to move off, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the water, I suppose, doesn't it? I think even on a day ticket, if it's all busy and one end there's one or two people chucking a marker float in, spotting up, and then on the other end of the lake there's a couple of guys just slack lining, I think they'll probably happily move over to the other area, just as an example.
I tell you what was fascinating with sort of carp behaviour. I've watched, is it the Mark Bryant sort of Diary of a Bait Maker, one of the videos on YouTube the other day, One where he's swimming and snorkeling with the fish. Have you seen that one?
No.
It's really worth a watch, and they've got like the drone footage of it, and the fish are just circling him, mate. He's just in there swimming with them. It's fancy. It's really cool, and they do it as well on one of like the Carl and Alex videos, where one of them was swimming in the quarry with the fish, and the fish are just sort of just really inquisitive, just coming up and checking it out, and I guess it's completely different to what they're used to.
Yeah, I've waded and had fish come over before. Well, I'm sure you have as well. I think
Not
commotion.
so much.
No.
No.
A lot of your waters you can't wade though, right?
Yeah, it's true. Very true.
Yeah, I think that just they could definitely hear it. They can, you can see it kicking up the sediment. I think that can definitely spark their interest. But yeah, I've seen other films of, I think in America, people swimming with carp, and they're definitely inquisitive creatures.
And Lake Bled as well. Have you seen the videos there? They've got that
possibly.
big
I don't know.
Beach, and it's crystal clear, and you see the fish swimming in amongst the bathers. Yeah.
In amongst the bait, really? Wow. Yeah. See that I would have thought they wouldn't, because it's not a new phenomena for them. Those bathers are probably there every day, so I thought that the carp would just be like, oh yeah, it's just those bathers. I thought it was more to do with the fact that it was like more unusual thing, but maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I've told you before about the quarry. I've fished a few times, and you have people swim in, and horses go in, and dogs are in all the time. It certainly doesn't put the fish on edge anyway. But again, they're conditioned to it, aren't they?
Yeah. I wouldn't mind getting down there, mate, sometime, if you fancy it.
Yeah, definitely.
Got a big uncaught common, isn't it?
Yeah, if it's alive. I've heard different stories, different takes on that one.
Is it uncaught?
No, it's not uncaught. There is a legit big common. But I have heard sort of stories of whether it's still swimming around in there or not. But people like to say stuff, don't they, to put people off, and
Yeah. Okay, mate. Well, I don't know whether you feel it's time to round up or not. You can go on to some other bits if you want to. But whilst I think of it, when we do start to round up these podcasts, I reckon we should finish on a bit of a theme. We obviously start with our little tipple of the episode. I think we should end on something, maybe a piece of tackle or equipment or something like that we are particularly impressed with at the moment. Like a bit of a feature thing? What do you think, mate?
Yeah, we can do something. I mean, I've got nothing springing to mind at the moment.
No, but I've sprung that on you. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Before we do that, before we round off, is there anything else you wanted to cover on this podcast, mate? Anything else you wanted to go over? Any other questions? Anything like that?
No, we're all up to date, I think.
Yeah, perfect. So here we go. The new feature thing. Something that I've recently started using, and it's something you put me onto, Pete. And I'll be honest, I don't think I would go without it now. I mean, if I left it at home, okay, fair enough. But that thing is, and it's something I've taken the piss out of you for before, mate.
How many things is this? It's going to be a lot. Go on.
I take the piss out of you for a lot. Yeah, I think you know sometimes you go camping rather than carping. But this thing has made a genuine difference to me, and it is, I do a little drum roll, a pillow.
Okay.
Yeah, when we did our social before last, our first social for ages. You remember you had your pillow. And
you mocked it. You mocked the pillow. Like,
of course I did, because you're going carp angling with a freaking home pillow in your bed chair. I thought it was ridiculous.
Just fold it up, leave it in your chair.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I thought, do you know what? I'll give it a go, because I had this like neck and shoulder issue. So I thought, I think it was my girlfriend actually. She was like, you need to take a pillow for your neck. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I just took like a little camping pillow. Yeah, freaking game changer. Like it really is. I've used it probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 nights. And it genuinely makes a difference to the quality of my sleep. Like I really think it does make a difference. It's not a home pillow. I wouldn't go that far. It's just like a little camping pillow from Go Outdoors. It just stays in my bed chair, folds up in it. Don't even notice it there. But yeah, it really makes a difference. So thank you, I guess.
Oh, no worries. Another one of my little tips that you've ripped the piss out of me on the podcast for, which you're taking on now, is a head torch with a red light as well, isn't it?
I don't have one yet, but yeah, fair enough. I think that's probably quite a good thing. Yeah, because you used your red light, didn't you, the other weekend when we went fishing?
Mm-hmm.
It's good, mate, because it doesn't blind you. It doesn't like mess up your night vision, and yeah.
Insects don't fly into your face.
Insects don't fly into your face. Yeah. Is that true? Do you never get any insects attracted to it?
Very rare. Very, very rare.
Wow.
That's why they have them, I'm sure of it. There's no other need for a red light.
I think it's so it doesn't undilate your pupils too much.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, or both. I don't know, but yeah.
But it's hard to buy now. Like the head torches always used to come with a red light, and I used to be like, "What's the point in this?" But nowadays, like modern head torches, one are ridiculously bright, and none of them come with the red LED anymore.
Yeah, I've been looking at a few. I've had a Petzl head torch for bloody donkey's years, still going strong. Although I now realise, like compared to yours and some other people, like it at the time it was really bright, and now it's not very bright at all by modern standards. But at the time it was freaking bright. But yeah, I've been looking at some more Petzls, and yeah, there are a few with the red LED, but they tend to be the rechargeable head torches, which I don't want a rechargeable one. I don't know, call me old-fashioned, I just want to be able to put some batteries in it.
Yeah, I just find that weird, mate, because you take your battery pack, because you rely on your phone for business, so you take a battery pack when you go fishing. You never have to worry about replacement batteries for your head torch.
But what happens if it's out, I need to charge it, and I need to wear it?
Mate, it'll never happen, honestly. And the times it's run out at fishing, which is hardly ever, because the batteries last literally forever, mate. You charge it up, and say you charge it up for 10 minutes, and then you get a take or whatever, and you just unplug it and stick it on, and it'll last for sessions of like 10 minutes of charge. Honestly, that might just be the one I've got. I've got a cheapy one. It's not super bright like the new super bright head torches. It's pretty bright, but yeah, it takes very little time to charge, and it will last me, I don't know, countless nights. At the moment, it's been summertime. I can't even remember the last time I charged it up.
Do you know what's instantaneous though?
Go on.
Changing the batteries.
It is if you carry spares, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, carry spares, change them. Job's good. Right,
Yeah,
solved
fair
that
enough.
then. Awesome. What about you, mate? You got a little? I'm sorry for springing this on you, but have you got a little essential bit of equipment or tackle or anything that you're particularly impressed with at the minute that you can think of?
Honestly, I can't think of anything. Nothing new, anyway. Nothing I've got.
Oh, come on, mate. Could be anything. Doesn't have to be new.
I haven't. Oh, okay. So I bought a viewing glass with inbuilt LED lights off of Wish.com, and yeah, it took about 8 weeks or something ridiculous for it to arrive. But it's amazing for the hook sharpening.
So it's like a magnifying glass with a light in it.
Yeah,
so
little jeweler's eyepiece. Yeah.
So you can check hook points.
It's got 2 different glasses with 2 different magnifications. I mean, the weaker one is plenty powerful enough to check your hook points, and the LED lights on it are superb, literally superb.
Very nice. I've used the little jeweler's eye, but not with an LED. I just thought that was a bit of a gimmick, to be honest.
Oh, no, not at all. No, really good. I even use it in daylight sometimes, or if you like doing it in the house and you've not got good natural light. Yeah, it's perfect.
I still can't do it. I still can't sharpen them as sharp as I want them to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I mean, when you
Ooh.
showed me those Kamakura hooks,
Yeah.
they are just like, I couldn't get a hook point probably sharper than that by hand.
You couldn't get anywhere close to it, I bet.
Probably, Nate, they are sharp. I just
Blisteringly sharp. And guess what?
go on.
Guess what? Well, I'm not a big fan of the quarter hooks. I love the Kamakuras because they're very sharp, but generally I wouldn't use them because they open up. They're not the strongest. Don't really like the beak point either, but anyway. But they're bringing out the X version. So they do like wide gape X, long shank X. It's just their stepped up, stronger gauge for Euro fishing. They're bringing out those in the Kamakuras. You heard it here first.
So that'll be your go-to pattern then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not official. They're not officially bringing it out, but yeah. So I might be wrong. Actually, they're definitely trialing it. Know that much. So yeah, that will be my go-to hook, mate, for sure. And I'll be honest, what I would like to see is some other hook manufacturers adopting the same technology that Corda use for the Kamakuras, and just get some really, really sharp hooks, because I'm useless. I can sharpen a hook, but not to that standard, or not to the standard that I want. So for me, it's really worth it, and I think a blisteringly sharp hook is such an important thing. It's a big edge. Hate that word, it's overused, but I really think it is, to the point where I'm actually using hooks that I wouldn't usually use that pattern. Like, I don't really like beaked point hooks. I like straight point hooks, but I'm using a beak point just because it is so sharp. So yeah, I'd like to see the likes of Nash bring out one in their Fang Twister. I do like that hook. I don't think it's a gimmick. I love the Fang Twister. I love the pattern. But yeah, they just need to be sharper.
Have you seen that Nash like sharpening stone? It's like 80 quid or 90 quid or something. Like the spinning wheel one.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I saw one of those being used the other day. So I've seen those and was like, what a gimmick. But oh my God. It kind of made hook sharpening super easy. I wouldn't buy one. I don't think I could justify it, but yeah, it works.
Does it? So someone that's a bit cack-handed like me, would it be easier for me?
Yeah, I think it would, mate.
Could I use that and get it as sharp as the Kamakuras?
I don't know. No, probably not. I don't know. Mate, the Kamakuras are incredibly sharp, but they're too sharp almost. Kind of like for bottom bait rigs, I don't bother with them now. Because I've reeled in quite a few times with a blunt hook, turned over points. And corrosion as well. That you really need some Vaseline, or they've brought out something, haven't they, for the corrosion, I think? They have. I ordered a load of... Yeah, one a chuck. They're literally like a hook a chuck, I find.
I think Jason Hayward has got some... I ordered some sharpened hooks from him, and he chucked in this like Vaseline type stuff. Mm-hmm. I think he's got some as well. I don't know what's wrong with Vaseline. I don't know why you don't just use that, to be honest with you. It is petroleum jelly, isn't it, Vaseline? So
yeah,
I believe there would be an element of water soluble, so detection going on, which would worry me, to be honest, particularly as it starts to get used a lot more.
Yeah.
That would concern me. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? We never used to worry about sharpened hooks back in the day. If it was remotely sharp, it was good enough.
Literally, like you told the tale when I caught the first 20-pounder.
Yeah.
On a blunt hook.
Yeah, you were new to fishing, weren't you? I was taking you out carp fishing, sort of showing you the ropes. I couldn't believe you chucked that rig back in. You're like, oh, it's fine.
I remember it was peeing it down with rain. I was like, just chuck it in. I'm going to get in the shelter. And then it ripped off with, yeah. A sizable fish for us back in the day, wasn't it?
Well,
Breaking records.
At the time, yeah, it really was, mate. Yeah, it really was.
God, if that happened to me, like the shoe was on the other foot today, I'd just be disappointed. I'd just be like, for fuck's
Yeah, for sure.
sake. You can't write it, can you?
No. What was that? I tell you what, you messaged me earlier about that fish, shoulders. What was that about? I don't remember catching that.
Oh, mate. So this is on the Weedy Lake, which we've discussed quite a few times. Yeah, mate, it was one of like the most sort of I called it iconic, being daft in the messages earlier, but it was one of sort of like the weird sort of like takeaways from that lake, mate. As you caught a brace of 2 mirrors, and they were 2 of the most sort of sought after fish in the lake. I
don't remember.
Mate, you caught them. You had 2 fish in the net at the same time. And it was 2 of like the really most sought after fish, both of which was soon removed. One of them got washed up on a beach in Newquay. Can you remember that?
I remember that, yeah. That wasn't the gardener, was it?
No. So, yeah, so there was shoulders, and it was like the one that got washed up had like the big sort of apple slice scales, didn't it?
Yeah, they were 2 of the biggest in the lake, right?
Yeah, they probably were. Yeah, 2 of the big mirrors. But they were sought after fish, mate, and the shoulders fish was the one I was really after. And then, unfortunately, it got moved before I ever got the chance to catch it.
Isn't it weird? I have no recollection of that. I remember the fish, yeah, I know what you're on about there. I have no recollection of that brace. Did I get have I got a photo of that?
Yes, you do, yeah.
Do I?
Yeah, I wasn't there, mate. But you definitely had photos.
You saw the photos?
Yeah.
Oh shit, mate! I need to look them out again because, that's it's so my memory is so bad. There's probably a lot of real amazing times I've just forgotten, and yeah, I just got a really bad memory. It's not good, is it?
Oh no. No, but that's what happens, isn't it? Things do get forgotten, mate.
Yeah, I was pissed quite a lot of the time as well, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Yeah, you messaged me earlier. I just wanted to ask you about it. That was all.
Yeah, I just didn't know if I thought you'd remember the fish.
You sent me an old newspaper clipping, didn't you? Something by Jerry Savage, was it?
Yeah, it was, mate. It's a friend of mine who I used to play rugby with.
Yeah.
Who's sort of really got back into his carping, I guess.
What, Jerry Savage?
Well, he's not Jerry Savage.
That's what you're making it sound like.
Oh, right. No, my mate's not Jerry Savage. That would be
obviously
weird.
He's no longer with us. So.
No. Yeah, thanks for that, Sam. And anyway, so yeah, he just put it up on Facebook, and I recognised the fish, mate. But he would have caught that a long time before you and I fished the lake.
Yeah.
And in the comments, he sort of mentioned about how he'd like to catch it again now, however many years later. It's like 20 years or something. So I probably should message him to see if he knows its location these days.
Yeah, if it's still alive. It's probably dead. Probably long gone.
Who knows?
I reckon. I mean, it was obviously very old back when we had it.
Yeah.
I had it.
Oh, it was. I remember. Yeah. Yeah, mate, again, this fit, we spoke about this lake. We just didn't know the stock, did we? We did not know the stock. It was all new to us, and you caught that fish, and man, did I want a piece of that.
That was beautiful, though. That was the nice part of fishing back then, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, yeah, lumpy's just been out this way, and then you got drop scale, and then you got the big lin. It's just like the same fucking fish in different ponds, their same names.
Yeah.
There was none of that. We just didn't really know what was in there, but we just found out, you know, the most exciting way, which is just a fucking fish from. I loved that, mate. I loved that.
Yeah, that's missing, hey, isn't it? Now in modern day fishing. Well, it's hard to find anyway.
I'll be honest, this lake I'm going at now, I don't know that much about the stock. I know there's a few. They're not huge fish, you know, you're fishing for 30s, but they're very pretty. But apart from that, that's pretty much all I know. And and I've kind of kept it that way. I'm quite unsociable, so like I don't really chat to people on the bank. I just kind of keep myself to myself, and I'm just a bit of a miserable old bastard these days, to be honest. Yeah. So, but the added bonus of that is like I don't really hear about the stock, and I kind of like that.
That's
kind of like that.
Exactly the same with this place now that I've been sort of setting my sights on. Is there's sort of like probably 15 fish in there maximum, and yeah, I don't know. I've seen photos of one of the fish. It was a big comment, and the rest is a little bit of a mystery. I've got an idea of what's in there, and you hear stories, etc., etc. But yeah, it's kind of it's really doing it for me. And even if I catch one of them, mate, I think it was just I'd be made up. I really, really would be.
I know what was in there like 10 odd years ago or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I know what was in there then. I don't know if it's changed much now.
Yeah, I think there's a few more fish in there now, but I'm talking about a few more. We're talking like less than a handful. Mate, yeah. I mean, it's got me excited anyway.
I'm excited for you. I wish I was fishing it, to be honest. I'd like to go back there. And I'd like to go back there.
I can see you doing it.
Oh, yeah, especially if you start catching. That's you know what I'm like. I'm like...
Yeah, you'd be like, no, how dare he?
Not at all, mate. Not at all. No, you deserve it. You'll do all right there, mate. You'll do well, I think. You're a good angler. You hold your own.
Mate, if I dedicate myself to it and really focus on it, and I've not had a place which really has my interest like this place kind of has got me over the last few weeks. I think I could be sat on the banks for quite a while there and really, really zone into my fishing again, which is exciting because I've really not had a feeling like this for years, if I'm honest.
That is exciting, and that is exactly what you needed, wasn't it?
Mate, it's everything about it. I mean, the lake's just beautiful. I just can't... Yeah, it's lovely.
It's a stunning pit with some stunning old big fish in. It's
the one I saw the other day, just jet black.
Yeah. I can honestly see you catching one or two, and I'm just like, okay, and me switching on it. I wouldn't do it because I don't feel that would be fair to you, just because not like
because you'll come down and haul.
I didn't mean that. I meant it's just, extra set of rods on the water, isn't it? I didn't mean that at all, mate. But I feel like I have unfinished business there, obviously. So yeah, maybe in the future I'll do it. But it's nice to hear that you're excited, mate, because you kind of felt like it's felt like for a while you've just been fishing waters just to kind of tick them off the list, just so you can get them over and done with. Is that fair?
Yeah, and mate, I've just for a long time I've been fishing because I just love fishing, and it's sort of like it's my thing. It's my little escape from life, and I'm going fishing to go fishing. Do you know what I mean? But I've not targeted something. I've not had a little bit of fire in the belly that this place sort of seems to evoke. So yeah, no, I'm up for it, mate.
Yeah. Are you any idea how you're gonna start tackling it?
Yeah, I've got ideas. I do. Yeah, to be honest with you, I've got a few areas of the lake that there's little tiny swims, little sort of like pokey hole swims, and there's a few areas I'd probably try and fish. I've got ideas in my head, but actually, do you know what? I've not cast a line in there yet. I've not had a little plumb about. Things change rapidly, don't they?
They do, yeah. You'll have to keep us updated on that. I'll be interested to hear about it as well, and see how you do. Yeah.
I think one thing I'm going to buy for there is an extra landing net.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, because I've only got one net at the moment, and I think there's so many little swims sort of like dotted next to each other, but you'd want do you know what I mean? Your net with your rod,
it's essentially one swim, but there'll be like a bush in between, and you need.
Yeah.
It's not that you're off your rods or anything like that. It's just
No.
that, yeah.
But you can have like a little snide rod in the little. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think 2 nets is a good idea anyway. Just you never know, do you?
No.
You can always have your main net and then like a little 2-piece handle, smaller pack down net, can't you? Just in the side of your rod bag or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Doesn't take up much room, does it?
No, that's it. Right, well, we've been rounding this off for about 20 minutes now.
Yeah, we have. Let's leave it there. And yeah, we'll save the rest for the next episode. I wanted to talk to you about milk proteins and milk fractions, but I think that'll be a good one for the next episode. Perhaps we can do another bait episode. You couldn't really call this one a bait episode, could you? It's been a bit more general. We'll just call this one the catch up or something. And yeah, maybe we'll do another bait episode. I'd love to talk about milks with you, because I know you have used milks quite a bit in the past, haven't you?
Yeah.
So we can, shoot the breeze on that. Awesome. Well, if you got this far, thanks ever so much for listening. Much appreciated. As we said before, if you can just take a moment out and leave us a review on the Apple Podcast app. None of the other apps accept reviews, unfortunately. But if you're listening on Apple, just go in and take 30 seconds to leave us a review. Be much appreciated. And everyone that does leave a review, I'm sure that we'll be running a competition soon. And the competition won't be for the best review. It's just for, we'll pick whoever's reviewed at random, and you'll win the prize. I think that's probably what we'll do. If we decide to do something else, then we'll do some other kind of competition. But it would be nice to do something like that, just to engage with our audience a little bit more and give you guys some freebies. I think it'll be nice. A nice gesture. Cool. Anything else you want to add to that, Pete?
No, we're all good. Oh, head over to the Facebook page and give it a like. Slowly getting a bit more interest over there, but one day we'll catch up with your Instagram.
All right. Cheers, guys. Good night.
Cheers.
Thanks ever so much for listening.